Hello. Hi, guys. I think we're live, maybe. Jess is going to tell me if we're live or not. I think so. I am Blake. Welcome to workshop number 3 of the Language Documentation Training Center and Endangered Languages Project webinar series of 2020. Are we live? Oh, we are live. Okay, cool. Good. Well then, we'll take a few minutes to let people trickle in. Yeah, so if you're here, say who you are, where you're from. Hopefully this workshop will teach you about audio and video recording, teach you some techniques, even if you don't have lots of money. If you do have lots of money, then that's better, but if you don't have lots, hopefully it'll still be useful for you. Yeah, so I'm excited to see what you guys want to record, what your projects are, so make sure you share about that. But for now, we'll just wait for you guys to tune in here from wherever you are in the world. It is President's Day here in the US, so we have a holiday. Yeah. We'll wait for people. I'm looking and seeing who is watching. Right. So yeah, I am Blake. I'm a PhD student here at University of Hawaii at Manoa, and this is what I do, language documentation. So I've made lots of audio and video recordings. I've made many mistakes, so hopefully my mistakes can help you guys not make the same mistakes, but nobody's perfect. You'll definitely make some mistakes. It's part of life. So we're here to learn. All right, let's see. How much longer should we wait here, Jess? Okay, Jess is the boss, but I guess I'm the boss. Okay, we'll wait like another 2 minutes, 1 minute, 3 minutes, time. Ooh, somebody from Pakistan. Cool. I hope everyone can see and hear okay. Please let us know if you can't. All right, so let's get started. So if you're coming in a little late, that's okay. My name is Blake. I'm going to be talking about audio and video recording today. This is the LDTC ELP workshop number 3 in the series. So we're going to learn some techniques for audio and video recording. Okay, let's get started. All right, so what are recordings used for? Well, they're used for linguistic analysis. They're used for teaching purposes, right? So if this is an underdocumented language, there's not a lot of recordings on it, you can use these to teach people how to speak the language. They're also used for preserving important sort of pieces of culture that are encapsulated in language. So you can, you know, make a recording of whatever culturally important thing you want, or whatever important thing about the language you want. Okay, so why do we make video recordings? This is language documentation, so you think like an audio recording would be enough. But language is more than just talking. It includes facial expressions, it includes gestures. And so video recording lets us see that, and especially if it's a conversation between multiple people, the video shows us the whole context of the recording. So it makes it a lot more clear what's going on. And people really like watching videos. So those are good reasons to make video recordings. First thing is choosing a recording environment. So there are things that are out of your control and you just make the best of it. And then there are things that you can control. So focus on what you can control. And it makes a huge difference how quiet of an area you choose to record in. It makes a huge difference. We don't notice. Our minds naturally filter out background noise, especially when we're busy engaged in a conversation with somebody. We don't notice certain background noise. But actually later, when you listen to the recording, that background noise can be very, very disruptive. And it's not easy to remove noise from a recording later. It's better to just make a recording without noise to begin with. So this is really important. You have to start learning to listen like the way that a recording device listens instead of the way a normal human listens for noise. So these are things you want to avoid. So electrical appliances, so that includes fans, that includes fridges, air conditioning units, all those things. Those are going to probably make a constant noise, constant background noise, which is really bad. Traffic, children, animals, background chatter. Some of those might be constant, but some of those might be, you know, just one motorcycle goes by every 10 minutes. So if it's not constant, it's not too bad. Maybe that one motorcycle passes by and then you wait for it to pass and then you can ask the speaker, hey, could you repeat that last part? I think maybe it didn't turn out well in the recording because of the motorcycle. So if it's just, you know, a little bit here and there, it's okay. That's better than constantly. Background chatter, sometimes people are in the back of the room and they think they're whispering and they think they're quiet, and actually when you listen to recording later, they're not quiet at all in the recording. As far as the speakers, cell phones, make sure those are turned off or put on silent. Crunchy snacks, you don't want to be eating those during the recording, and you don't want to be tapping on the table close to the recorder or something like that. So those are more things that your speakers might be doing. So what do you want? You want what we call a soft room. So a room that's got like carpeting, smaller room is better, room that's got like couches or like soft things. The opposite would be like a big open space with lots of shiny or hard surfaces where echoes, like sound, can kind of bounce off that and echo around. So you don't want that. You want soft room, quiet, windows closed, no appliances running, no children, no extra people. That's ideal. Ideal might not be possible for you in your situation, so you just make it the best you can. Okay, so now framing. Framing is how you're going to position the video camera. So you can see these people in this picture here, right? You want to include people's upper bodies and their arms, length, space around their head. So this is actually kind of tight framing. But if you had a little bit further away, like if you had my torso and stuff, you could get all my gestures and all those things. And the camera should be slightly below the people's face level. Make sure everything's in focus. And you don't want to zoom in and out or move the camera around unless you really have to. If people are just sitting there talking, having a conversation, there shouldn't be a lot of reason to move the camera around. It looks much, much better if it's just still on a tripod. Okay. Here's some examples of framing that's not very good. You can see some of them, the speaker's face is cut off, or it's from high above, or it's on one side, it's not in the center. Here's better framing. This is not totally ideal because it's a little bit tight, so they might not be able to gesture as fully as they want, or maybe when one speaker leans back in their chair, they're not in the video anymore, but this is pretty good. Maybe it was a tight space, so it had to be a little bit close, but it's pretty good. This is good for one speaker. For one speaker, she has enough space that she can gesture all around and you will get all her arm movements inside the frame. Okay, so lighting. So avoid filming in front of a bright window and other bright environments. Bright is good, but you don't want the light behind the speaker. Avoid overhead lights that create shadows. Bring extra lights with you if possible. And then when you're using the video camera, you check the white balance. So the video camera doesn't know colors. You have to tell it, hey, this is white, and then it can figure out other colors, you know, based on that, but you have to tell it first, this is white. So you have to use something like a piece of white fabric and use the white balance functions on there to tell the video camera what color white is. That way your speakers won't have strange colors. Here's an example of bad lighting. You can see this is why you don't want the light from behind. The light from behind, it's a pretty sun, but you can't see the speaker's face at all in this example. So here's better lighting. It's a little bit dark, but not really, just a little bit. You can still see their faces really clearly, their facial expressions. So that's pretty good. Okay, I hope I'm not going too fast, but now this part is a bit more complicated. So we talked about recording environment, we talked about lighting, and now recording equipment. Okay, so we recommend using a dedicated audio recorder. So this is an example. And we're going to have like an equipment guide to go with this. This is a Zoom model, and this is a Tascam, another brand. So we recommend using one of those. So why not use your computer or your phone? So phones are designed to cut off some sound frequencies. They're not really designed for making high quality recordings. They're just designed for you to be able to communicate well enough to understand the person on the other end of the phone. So they're designed to remove some background noise. Removing background noise sounds good, but you have no control over what the phone decides to remove, what audio data it decides to remove. You can't control that factor. And then computers create background noise. So some people have quieter computers. Those are better. I'll talk about that in the next slide, but they do create noise. So if you have an actual dedicated audio recorder, it runs on batteries and it doesn't make extra noise itself. But if you don't have a dedicated audio recorder, then using your phone or your computer microphone is better than nothing, using those as an audio recording device. So we're recording two things here. We're recording audio and we're recording video. So here's the complicated slide. Okay, you're recording audio and you're recording video. For the purposes of language documentation, the one that you really want, if you could have the best quality for, would be the audio. You want the really highest quality audio you can get. Video, it's nice to have good quality video, but it's not as important as having good quality audio. So I made this little chart of from most ideal to least ideal. But there's some flexibility in there. This is roughly most ideal to best ideal, or most ideal to least ideal. Okay, so first setup number one is this video camera and tripod. So this video camera actually has its own microphone attached, so it also records audio, and of course it records video. So that would be for video, right, for your video recording. And then a standalone audio recorder plus microphone. So for example, this microphone goes in here, and then this can clip onto the speaker. This is a lapel mic. Okay, so that's your best, because you have, this is your primary audio recording device, and then you actually have a backup audio recording device is this. This is also recording audio, and then this is your video recording device. So that's the best. If you don't have that, you don't have the money for the video camera, you can do the smartphone for video. Okay, for video, because they've gotten pretty good for video. If you have, like, this is a used $200 smartphone, it's pretty good for video. Figure out which one is better, the front camera or the back camera. I think usually the back camera is better. But you have to buy a little tripod for it. They make little tripods for phones. They're pretty cheap. So that's your video recording device. Then you still have this as your ideal audio recording. Okay, so that's option number 2. Option number 3. Oh, and so then that makes this, sorry, for option number 2, that makes this your backup audio, right? This is your primary audio, and this is your backup audio. Number 3, same thing, this for the video with a tripod, and now you've got an audio recorder, but maybe you couldn't afford, you don't have a microphone, or you don't have enough microphones for all your speakers, so you just use the internal microphone, which is here. This is our little protective windscreen. Okay. If you don't have that, then you can still have this for your video, right, on a tripod. And then you can use your computer to record if you have a microphone that plugs into a computer. And this could actually be a fairly good audio recording, depending on the quality of the microphone and depending on how quiet the computer is. Or maybe if the computer is loud, if this cord is really, really long, it can be far away from the loud computer. So this could be pretty good. I put it as number 4, but it kind of really depends how quiet the computer is and how good the microphone is. And then lastly, you have the smartphone. Now, using the smartphone, not only for video, but using it as your primary audio recording device, you're going to need a kind of microphone that can plug in, to this. So some sort of microphone. This is not a good example. I would not recommend one of these. I would use a lapel mic. So you need something like that. Well, now this has become your primary audio recording device, which is not ideal. It's still your primary video recording device, but now you need a backup audio recording device because all those other number 2 through number 4, this was your backup audio device. So now I would say get a second phone to be your backup audio recording. So that's why number 5 has a backup phone, because you've changed from making this your backup audio device into making it your primary audio device, which again is not ideal, but you do what you can. If that's what you have, then, or if that's all you can afford, then that's what you can do. So I hope that slide was not too confusing. I'm sure people will let us know if it was. I hesitated on that one. But that's just kind of to give you an idea of what you can do depending on, what you're able to afford and stuff like that. Okay, moving on. So we're going to have more information on professional video equipment in one of the files that goes with this. If you're confused about what to buy, that sort of thing. You can also ask questions on that. All right. So equipment compatibility, you have to keep in mind. So don't only look at, hey, it looks like this, or it looks like this, right? You have to actually look and see if it's compatible, these different, especially microphones. So just check that out before you buy something. You don't want to buy something and then, it doesn't work with your other device. Okay, so back to audio and video. So back to using this, this is your primary audio recording device. If you have a video camera, right? Or if you're using the phone. If you're using the phone, you have more than one speaker, you probably can't be really, really close to the speaker. You probably have to be further away. But certainly for this, again, it is recording audio, but it's going to be further away from the speakers. So that's why it's your backup audio. You want your primary audio to be close to the speakers, whatever your primary audio recording device is. So use your video camera as backup. Those are some of the specific settings there on the PowerPoint. And then slate your audio. So that's when you have the video camera running and you have the audio recording device running and you go, right? Well, I didn't even do it very well. I have to do it like where you can actually see it. Anyway, you slate that at the beginning, just like people do when they're, making a movie. And so that is so that you can align them later on. So if you see this, one of the audio tracks is from the microphone on the video camera, and the other audio track is from the microphone on the audio recorder. And you can see that somebody clapped 3 times where there's those 3 peaks there. And so that makes it easy to line up, because otherwise it'd be difficult to line up. When you press start on this, is not going to be the exact moment that you press start record on your other device. You can't match them up exactly. So that's why you slate it. Okay. After you've made your video, you probably have to convert it. So we suggest using the program Handbrake for that. And again, you can ask questions if you have particular questions about how to do that. So you convert it, and then you edit it. You want to edit out whatever jokes people were making at the beginning and aren't part of the recording or stuff like that. So there's some programs that you can use for that. Some of them, especially HitFilm and Resolve, you need a pretty good computer to run them on. But OpenShot, you don't need that good of a computer to run. So very important. Make sure your speakers have given you their consent and that they feel comfortable before starting to record. And so that's going to vary by person. Some people don't really like it when there's a person behind the camera. They'd rather, not look at the camera directly. They'd rather look at the side. So if there's a person right behind the camera, it might be scarier. So you might want to set it up and then get away from being behind the camera and just talk to them from the sides. They don't have to look directly at the camera, different things like that. Whatever makes your speakers comfortable. How to record. So you want to record in WAV or WAV formats. If you can, for these devices, you actually have to press the record twice, which is a little bit odd. But you will know that something is recording when you see numbers like the seconds counting, right? Whether it's a video camera or whether it's an audio recording device or whether it's your phone, you should see seconds counting, and that means it's recording, right? The time is moving. But before you necessarily start, you can check and adjust the audio levels. So some speakers are really loud, and if the mic is really close to them and they're really loud, then you might have to adjust it and turn it down. And yeah, so you have to check the levels first. Okay, and then you begin the recording by saying metadata and slating the audio and video together. So what is metadata? I'm about to tell you. Okay, so metadata. For example, I'm here. I'm here. I could be recording the speaker over here. And first of all, I would ask if you agree to be recorded.
I agree.
Okay. Do you mind if I put this on you?
Nope.
Okay. So anyway, she's my speaker. She's ready to be recorded. Supposedly, I also have if I also had a microphone, and we have this all ready, and we have everything turned on, and we slate, and then I say today is February 17th. I'm here with Jess. We are at University of Hawaii at Manoa, and today we're going to be doing an interview about veterinary practices. There we go. Then we start recording. Thank you, Jess. Okay. So, make sure you write down the file name from the recorder, because it's going to have some weird default file name, and if you make a bunch of recordings, you got to remember which one is numbered what. Later, you can rename it, but while you're making the recording, write down the name of the file name so you don't lose it. Okay. All right. So hopefully that was not too much information. Some of the key points: record video if you can, right? But you don't have to be as worried about video quality as you should be about audio quality. Choose a quiet space to record. Make sure the speakers are in focus and they're in frame and they're well lit. Don't have the lights behind them. And then after you've made the recording, copy the videos as soon as possible to your computer, but also don't delete them right away. So you're going to learn more next week about file management, which can actually be quite an ordeal. It can be a big process. So, but the idea is you usually want to have more than one copy of something, just in case, something goes wrong with one of those copies. So after you record, you transfer the file from your phone or from your audio recorder or from your video camera to your computer, but keep it on the original recording device as well, so you have 2 copies. All right. So that pretty much concludes the instructional portion. I'm really looking forward to these comments and stuff. So yeah, make videos. What kind of videos do you want to make? There's so many things you can record in your language. Stories, songs, Swadesh word list, right? The basic words of the language, conversation, whatever else you can think of. Usually when you're filming video, people aren't moving around too much for language documentation, but if you do want to film a dance or something like that, there are headset microphones that, like people wear when they're performing. So you could have a headset microphone set up to, a small audio recording device that the person is wearing in their pocket or in their bag or something like that. So you can have video that moves around. It makes it a little more complicated, but it is possible to still have good quality audio recording with somebody, dancing. Yeah. Okay. I think that is it for the PowerPoints. So I'm going to read what all these questions are now. All
No questions yet. This person just couldn't.
Or comments. Oh no, couldn't read.
I said the slides would be.
Oh, let's post the slides.
So no one has posted specific questions, but
Oh no.
there's like a minute delay though, so maybe people are writing them now.
Okay. Or tell us please like what your plans are, what you want to record. Yeah, what you're interested in recording. And please tell me if I said anything confusing too, or said anything too fast. People from Nigeria and Peru, cool. Very cool.
Oh, here's a question.
Okay. Is there any software that you would recommend for audio/video? Yeah, so we mentioned for video editing, some of the free programs that are really good are DaVinci Resolve and HitFilm Express, but not every computer can use those. So those are good for editing. These you don't need to like install any software on, they already just are how they are. For editing audio on computers, we usually use a program called Audacity. Maybe Jess can type that out if that's not clear, or can send you a link to that one, which is also a free program to use for trimming audio, or you can kind of make bad recordings a little bit better with it. Ideally, don't make the recording bad to begin with, but it can help with some things like making the recording a little louder if it's too quiet and that sort of stuff. So Audacity is good for that. Yeah, those are the main ones. Good question.
And now there's another question.
Okay. If a video is already recorded, can we use that for our documentation purposes, or our documentation purpose? It depends like where the video is already recorded, right? If somebody who recorded the video gives you permission, then yeah, sure. If they say, hey, I'd like it if you, transcribe this video and translated it, or that you can use it, you can put it on YouTube, or you can put it in an archive for safekeeping. As long as the creator of the video and the people who are filmed in the video, as long as they agree to it for that purpose, which they could have agreed to when they originally made it. You just have to look into that, see if when they originally made it, what exactly they consented for it to be used for. Yeah. But yeah, sometimes there's lots of good existing videos already out there, and maybe they could be accessed by more people if somebody came in and transcribed them and translated them and put subtitles on the video or that sort of thing. So there's a lot of projects you can do with videos that already exist. Guys have more questions, comments? Tell us about your projects. So I didn't really go into different types of microphones. I wasn't sure if we would have time, but so you do have the lapel mic, and then I mentioned the headset mic if somebody's like performing or something. You have these kind of mics that go on the table, and then you have the kind of mic that's like this, pointed like this. So it's called shotgun mic because it's pointed like that. So it's designed to capture the audio that is in front of it, not behind it. So you want to be careful, yeah, to know the directionality of your microphones. This one has like one going this way, one going this way. But you want to know the directionality of your microphones because usually you just want them pointed towards the speakers, and you don't want them pointed at anything else or in the surrounding area. And these things are for the wind, these wind screens. You also don't want to record outdoors in a windy environment, ideally, unless you have to, and then make sure you have a windscreen. If we have batteries, I could show levels. We don't have batteries.
I can grab some from upstairs.
Sorry, I have batteries on here. So I mentioned you guys that when you're recording, you check the levels. So it's usually like red or green lights or things like that. And you want the levels to be like as high as possible without going over, if that makes sense. So usually, I have no idea if you guys are able to see this. There's little red and green and yellow in the bottom. Yeah, you can see that, right? So I'm talking right now, so those are the levels. It's going up and down, and stuff like that. And I can use these adjustments over here. I can use these adjustments over here to affect that. If this was all the way, always in the red, like way in the red, that would tell me that I need to turn it down. If it was just always like 2 little green bars instead of lots of green bars, that would tell me I need to turn it up, turn the levels up. So you look at that and adjust the levels before you start recording. And you can also monitor the levels while you're recording with headphones. And there should be a place on your audio recorder or on your video camera that you can do so that you can monitor the recording. Because sometimes the speaker will start out really quiet and then they'll get like way more excited and then they'll get louder, and so you'll have to adjust the levels partway through the recording. Or the other way around, they could start out really loud and then they just move further away from the camera so they get quieter, or things like that. So it is good periodically to check, as long as you can do it without really interrupting the recording too much, as long as you can just quietly go in there and check. I'm not sure if this has already been covered, but may I ask, what basic equipment setup would you recommend for a low-budget newbie language documenter? Whatever you can, whatever you can manage. So this, so we have a couple like guides that are going to be attached that you guys can download and look at. So these are a bit more, pricey, but this one's over 10 years old. So these things do last for a while. You have to update, the firmware and stuff like that. But certainly if you buy one of these, they will last for decades. They last for a really long time. They're really pretty durable as long as you take care of them. So I would say something like that. Usually the Tascams are cheaper. There are Tascams that are under $100. It depends what your budget is. There are, microphones that are pretty good that are $50. But that's what I guess I would suggest would be to get a dedicated audio recording device. And maybe if you can't afford the video camera yet, then again, you can use this for video. But if you're able to get a dedicated audio recorder device, you can get one of the basic ones. So what the difference is, the features. So this one, of course, it has its own internal microphone. And then if you want to plug in a microphone, I believe you can only do one on these. Yeah, so if you had a microphone with this kind of jack that was compatible, again, check first, you could only do one, right? So otherwise, you just leave this how it is. And if you have a conversation of multiple speakers, and you just use the internal one. So usually that's one of the main differences between the different audio recording devices is kind of what you can plug in, what other things you can add on. So that one just has the one line in for a 33.5 millimeter jack. And this one has one line in and 2 of these, which are these XLR jacks. So that means you could have 3 different microphones plugged into this in addition to its internal microphone. So that's one, feature. But if you are really just starting out, if you don't want to buy a bigger audio recording device, then something smaller that still has a good enough internal microphone. It's still better than a phone or something like that. That might be a good starting point. But it depends. Yeah, it depends what you can do. I mean, some people use DSLR cameras for video because they're good cameras, or they're people who are like, photographers anyway. They already have that. Those are really good quality video. The only problem with them is they usually turn off automatically after like 15 minutes or half an hour. So that can be annoying if you're only partway through a video recording and then your DSLR camera automatically turns off. But those are also those are good quality video. Yeah. I hope that answered that. Yeah, check through the equipment guides that we have with this webinar too. Put this back on the tripod. Tripods too are very affordable. So again, even if you're just doing the video on the phone, get like a little $8 tripod to hold up the phone. That'd be great. These two, they have like a thing you can mount these, which is better than having them straight down on the table. So in general, you don't want stuff flat on the table. You want it like propped up on something soft, ideally, or propped up on a tripod. Guys, have any other thoughts, questions, ideas of what to film? Sometimes people like to use GoPros because you don't really have to worry about getting them wet and stuff like that. And they're not heavy. You can go hiking with them, so they can be great for that. But their audio is not very good. So you still want something else for recording audio for language documentation purposes, if you can. But you can use a GoPro as a video, although it's got the weird kind of wide lens look to it, but it's an okay video. Again, we're not as concerned with the video quality as we are with the audio quality because these are underdocumented languages. So you have, maybe things that don't sound like if you're a speaker of the language, then if you're going to hear a recording, if you can understand it, you probably think, oh, it's good enough because I can understand it. But for people who aren't speakers of the language, it really helps if the recording is higher quality. They'll be able to, better learn the language. And also for linguistic analysis, we definitely want it to be better quality audio. The good thing now is that for the file formats, WAV or WAV is a good file format, and if you record in that, then your file will be pretty, I guess, safe is the word for it, or usable in the future, should be. As opposed to, in the past, people record on like VHS tapes for video, and that is obviously not used anymore. But if you record your audio in WAV or WAV format, you should be okay. I'm not sure about MP4, whether that's going to stick around or not. Maybe, hopefully. So this equipment usually comes in like sort of special cases with a lot of foam to keep it safe. But I would also say, you know, you got to keep this equipment from getting wet and that sort of stuff. But other surprising things can happen. I had some ants invade this video camera. They went in this small little holes in the top here. So I've since learned to store equipment with mothballs, with, you know, things that deter insects from going in equipment too. So lots of things can get into equipment. You have to really try to keep it safe as well. So don't just toss it into your backpack like this. You know, put it in its case, put it in the foam protective waterproof case that somehow has something smelly that insects don't like. Guys, have any other questions? Please let us know. So usually when you edit video, the main things that we do when we edit video for language documentation are join videos together. So a lot of times video cameras will stop like every 12 minutes or so. And so they'll create a new file every 12 minutes or so. And so if you want to join those all together into your whole hour-long video instead of, you know, 6 different 12-minute videos, you can join them together. And then we usually, trim out the parts that we don't want. So those, I think, would be the main video editing things that we use. You can play around with trying to, you know, adjust color and adjust light, but you will just want to try to get that good before you record, ideally, rather than counting on your editing to fix that. So those would be the main things. So that's why you don't need to know too much about video editing, but you do need to know a little bit how to use the different programs, and especially the converting part. It's hard to work with video files when they're not in MP4 format, so you got to get them into MP4 format by converting them. All right, I'll give you guys a couple more minutes if you have any last questions or things you want to share. Please let us know. It's so quiet. All right. Well, I tried to cover most of the main things you need to know for video and audio recording. So I hope that you remember those main things, right? So again, the audio quality is more important than the video quality in terms of your equipment. For your video, make sure it's framed correctly so you can see all the gestures. Make sure the white balance is correct. I don't know, white balance might be off on this. My face might be weird colored. Check the white balance, check the lighting is good. Don't forget to slate the audio and video together. For the audio recording, try to record in WAV formats. Yeah, those are the main things. Unless I forgot one of the main things. That's mostly it. And yeah, just don't be quick to delete your files off of your memory cards, because you want to keep a backup copy until your file has reached its destination where it's going to be, the safest place for it, but you always want at least 2 copies. So keep the file on the video camera or on the audio recorder or on the phone, and then also put it on the computer too. Oh yes, Anna is talking about Elan. So Elan is our software that we use, for transcriptions, for typing, the words that the speakers say, for making transcriptions, and for translations, and for subtitling videos. You can use Elan. So it's also free software. So all the things that we've recommended are free software that you can use. All right. I think if there's no more questions or comments, we'll stop for now, but feel free to continue throughout the week. Play with this, try to make a video with, whatever you've got. For now, if all you have is the smartphone, then at least you can practice, what you know about framing and lighting and stuff like that. So go ahead and, try to make a video with what you have, or try to make a shopping list or wish list of what, kind of things you would want to get for your language documentation project. Make yourself a little wish list. And feel free to keep checking in throughout the week. But I'm going to sign off for now. So that is it for the video and editing recording. Next week, Jenny is going to talk about metadata, file management, and archiving. Very important. All right.